William and the Bull, English Folk Tales. This one is from Dorset. William was the best fiddler in the area, known all around as the man for the job when it came to dances and celebrations where music was required. So when Timothy Thomas got married to Sarah Rose, it was the most natural thing in the world to ask old William to play. Now this all happened one glorious summer's day at the end of June, just after midsummer. But to understand what happened after, I must make sure that you know of the old West Country belief that at midnight on Christmas Eve, if you go into a stable or a barn or anywhere where the beasts are kept, you will see them on their knees in honor of the birth of Jesus. Down in Somerset, they also say that at that special time, midnight on Christmas Eve, beasts can talk. But that may be due to the scrumpy they drink in those parts. Anyway, on the day of the wedding, all the folks went to the church, and there was old William, sat in the gallery, playing sacred music on the violin. And whenever the vicar called for a hymn or a psalm, old William led them all in the singing most appropriately. The service being over and the couple wed, the bride and groom linked arms in the traditional way and led the congregation out of the church and down towards the 10th barn, with old William in front, playing Caledonian March or Bonaparte's Retreat. When they got to the barn, it looked beautiful. Walls freshly whitewashed, floor swept, greenery around the windows and doors, great long tables down the middle, all groaning with eatables and drinkables. They all sat down, and the feasting began, all except for old William, who was perched on a barrel over to one side, playing lively song tunes and ditties to keep them all humming while they ate. But they didn't forget him. Oh no, because in Dorset, folk are very hospitable towards musicians. You only have to hear the string of a fiddle or the toot of a flute, and you can't help yourself. You have to dip your hand in your pocket and give them a few pence, or something to eat, or maybe a drink. So as William played, someone gave him some beef. Someone else gave him some cake. Someone else gave him some beer, and someone else gave him some cider. So he was fed and watered as he played. After 2 or 3 hours, the food was all gone, so they cleared away the tables, pushed the benches onto the walls, and began to dance. They did the long waist dance and the circle dances, the right hand stars and the do-si-dos, and there was old William swaying away on the fiddle, playing up the sides and down the middle, and all the jigs and reels and hornpipes popular in the neighborhood at the time. As he played, someone gave him some gin. Someone else gave him some whiskey. Someone else gave him some rum. And someone else, who should have known better, gave him a glass of brandy. So consequently, when the bride and the groom had gone off on honeymoon, and all the guests had gone home, the only person left in the barn was old William, absolutely exhausted. Well, he'd been playing all day, and to tell you the truth, not completely sober. So he made a mistake which, had he been his usual state of mind, he never would have made. He took a short cut across Long Meadow. Now anyone in the village would have told you that this was where the farmer kept his bull. But William had forgotten this. At least he forgot it until he was as far as he could possibly be from any of the 4 hedges. And then, in the darkness, he heard a pounding of hoofs and the sound of heavy snorting. And he looked around. He saw Farmer Chick's prize bull captain charging towards him in the moonlight, horns a-glinting. Well, William was far too tired to run for it, so in the circumstances, he did the only sensible thing. He took his fiddle and began to play. Well, it was very lucky for William that the captain was musical. As soon as he heard the music, he stopped, listened, and a contented smile came across over his face. And as long as William kept playing, all was well. As soon as he stopped to think of another tune, down went the bull's head, and the hooves began pawing around. So William had to keep playing. He played all his jigs and reels and hornpipes. He played them all again. Then he even played a waltz or two. the night wore on, until at last William had one of those dreadful moments that all musicians experience, when you know that you know more tunes, but you can't remember what they are. And down went Captain's head, and his hooves were pawing on the ground, and then William had a flash of inspiration. Even though it was in the middle of June, he very slowly and reverently began to play the old nativity hymn, while shepherds watched their flocks by night. Well, it was very lucky for William that not only was Captain musical, he was also religious. He thought it must be Christmas Eve, so down he went on his great knees, and down went his head until his horns were touching the ground. William took his chance, took to his heels, and was over the hedge before the bull could get up again. And as he said afterwards, he'd often seen people look stupid, but he'd never seen a bull look stupid before. And that's the story of William and the bull. The violin or fiddle was the preeminent instrument for village music in Dorset until the arrival of melodeons and concertines in the middle of the 19th century. Thomas Hardy played the violin and loved country dancing. His father, uncle, and grandfather all played string instruments and formed the nucleus of the church band in Stinsford Parish Church, just outside Dorchester. Their collection of dance tunes, handwritten in their back of the carol books, has long formed the basis of the repertoire of local Sely bands. Hardy was fascinated with stories connected to fiddles and fiddle playing, and included them in many of his poems and novels. A short version of William and the Bull is told by Dairyman Crick in Tales of Dubervilles. The dialect poems of William Barnes, based largely on childhood memories of North Dorset and the Blackmore Vale, contain many references to fiddle music at local celebrations. Recently, the music manuscripts of Benjamin Rose, a farmer, Ali Hound Keeper, and the fiddle player from Birchwall has emerged. It is dated 1820, and it contains 133 country dance tunes of that sort of all William would have played to the captain. This story was recounted by Tim Laycock. Tim Laycock lives and works in Dorset. He is a folk musician, storyteller, and actor, and has been interested and involved in the oral history and traditions of his native country since a boy. He particularly enjoys performing the works of William Barnes and Tom Hardy.